Good afternoon. Uh, Today I've got a few things I want to talk about. I want to talk about the changing of the seasons, and how it will possibly affect us. And I also want to talk about the ego. So I'm going to be reading from my notes mostly because personally I've been feeling just a little more anxious lately, and not lately, mostly within the last couple of days, and that goes along with my insights on the changing of the seasons. Okay, so let's go to the top here. So what I have written down is that the flame of summer is dimming with the changing of the seasons. So, with this, the natural motivation delivered to each of us by the spirit of summer will not be as strong, and we may feel ourselves drifting into old habits which comfort us. So, it's important for us to find another source of this flame in our own spaces to reignite the motivation within ourselves, as there are many more gray days to come. And staying on course is something that most of us want to do. So, that was just a brief little introduction because I think that it might help a lot of people. I know it helped me. So, the ego. The ego is everywhere but here, always playing an unending chess game with self interest found at the end of every plot. Those who can love death rather than fear it would be considered crazy at the least and dangerous at the most because of how foreign the idea of not being here is to those who've never teased themselves enough to consider the benefits. When I say consider the benefits of death, I do not mean with apathy of what already is here, but with imagination of what more could come from it. So, the interesting point to make is that we tend to be placed in the role of the thinker fairly early on in our lives. And we've been convinced that this thinker is actually here. We identify with it. The truth is that the thinker is never here. They're always a few seconds in the future, or maybe even 10 years in the past, attempting to dig for more. Period. This is a wanting consciousness. It always digs for more of something in a state of complete self-interest and competition with itself. Although sometimes these plots or illusions can be very enticing and will constantly attempt to convince the being that the action is at its very that the action is at the very best a compromise of morality. So when I say morality, it's important to understand that the only moral compass any of us really need to follow is within our own hearts. There is no list, there is no right or wrong. The only right or wrong is within ourselves. And when you act in accordance with your own moral compass, there will be no inner chatter to be had whatsoever. You will move without hesitation in one straight line with only truth. So, when individuals who are dominated by this thinker hear of others who've decided to opt out of the chess game, it could not be further from what is considered sensible. How in the world could you honestly be accepting of anything that happens to you at any given moment? Um, People often mistake this non attachment as apathy, or I don't care anymore, or I give up, when the truth could not be further. Non attachment is taking back control through surrender. So, those who have attachments, physical or non physical, tend to be dominated by this thinker in order to protect these assets that they hold so dear. It's like Gollum in Lord of the Rings and the One Ring, possessed by possession. So these individuals are never truly here because the thinker is somewhere else constantly occupied with placing new protocols or boundaries around its valuables, tangible or non tangible. So, in truth, you must learn to die before your time has come in order to truly live without the shackles demonstrated by Jacob Marley in A Christmas Carol. So, all of these illusions of what we consider to be valuable. Here, I have to minimize my notes. So that's everything that I had written. But when you're here, like most of us are humans doing, not humans being. So so when you end up claiming things, like claiming an identity, claiming objects, claiming anything to be yours, you're burdening yourself. So you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to claim as many possessions as you want, but you think of it as like your being is actually, it has a limited capacity. And the more that you value, the more it weighs you down. So it's like playing a video game and having armor on, and you can be over encumbered by all this stuff that you carry because one person can only consume so much, whether it's tangible or non-tangible objects. It doesn't matter. You can't have everything at once, and the only way to have everything at once is to live in a system that shares with one another. When when you are in a state of surrender, and not surrender again as giving up, but surrender as if like you close your eyes and you can't feel the difference between the floor beneath you and the body that's touching it. They become one because at the end of the day it's all the same stuff. We're just collected in different forms and interacting in different ways, but um not spirit, but I mean, yes, spirit, but there's so many different words you can use. And the one that I'm gravitating towards right now, which I try to stay away from as much as possible because of the preconceived ideas and attachments to it, but uh, God. So I had a conversation with someone the other day. It was just a online business meeting sort of situation, but we were both talking about our individual businesses, and he was asking me questions about the religious aspects of mine because it was for his own self-interest, and the answers that I gave to him were also answers for myself because everything around us is God. So when you respect all material things, whether you come at it from a religious or scientific point of view, when you break it down to its simplest form, it is all the same stuff, whether that's from a vibrational standpoint or from like atoms, atomic. Um, it would still be the same material at the very core. So then these materials collect themselves, vibration, anything, um, and and choose to envelop in a certain way. And then for us as beings, we are just incredibly lucky. And it's a phrase that Ram Dass ended up, like I heard it from him at least, is that you have so many blessings for one birth because everything's you're surrounded by, everything physical is birthed into the world from from one perspective or another, however you want to consider it to be birthed through biological birth um, or manifestation or just clumping together with gravity, which could be us too. But anyways, we're all just having fun here. We're all just interacting, and your birth chart created you as a consciousness living out this moment in time forever. Let's cut it off there. Let's cut it off there. So I guess the ego it's been weighing on my mind for sure. And personally, I find it a lot easier to identify with the entire archetypal existence rather than. I find ego is good training wheels because it splits you into two people so you can finally become the watcher of your being. But after you master that state of mind, you can split it up and identify every single archetypal existence within yourself so that you can see exactly why you're doing what you're doing at all times, and you can address the problem that you're having, and you're not run by habit or just a biological existence anymore. You can connect with your soul body and truly make decisions by weighing out all the options, and it only takes a second because you just move in accordance with the universe. There's no resistance anymore. Anytime that you feel friction in a situation, it's because you want something that is not coherent with the universe. And that's not saying that you can't have it. If you push through that friction, the universe will somewhat obey and reorganize to give you what you so desperately wanted, but there will be a price to pay always, and you can make that a conscious price, or if you just choose to act without understanding your action, there will be just a karma, right? Karma. But yeah, you can have conscious karma or unconscious karma. Like you can decide exactly what's going to happen for you um, when you understand the equation. I know some of that was a little free flow, and some of it might sit, some of it might not, but hopefully you got some value out of everything. Have a good day.